Right. There's an RPG coming. Okay. Yes, another one. This one is Mantic and Red Scar are working on a Kings of War RPG. Ben, what do we know about it, mate?
Yeah, so I think it was during their sort of 12 Days of Christmas blog posts, Mantic put out a couple of sort of feelers about what's happening with the Kings of War RPG, set in the world that will no longer be called Mantica. It'll be called something else entirely.
Ronica.
So Mantic and Red Scar are working together on this. It's been sort of in the works for a while. There's going to be a little bit more news coming out about it over the next couple of weeks, which will be very interesting indeed. It's set to kind of build on the world as it already exists and try and look further afield as well. There should be a picture in that post which shows off what they've actually shown of their fantasy world and what actually exists on the wider scale. So as you can see, the planet is much, much bigger than we already thought, which is very cool indeed. So there's plenty of options to go and explore different sort of cultures and all that kind of thing in different environments. One of the other really interesting things about this that they came out in the sort of announcement is they're going to be trying to sort of add a little bit more sort of cross-compatibility with the games that already exist from Mantic. So if you play through your heroes in the Kings of War RPG, you'll also then be able to use them in the likes of Dungeon Saga and Vanguard and, of course, Kings of War itself. So those heroes that you maybe get up to epic level in their campaigns through their role-playing system will then be able to take to the tabletops themselves and play out in huge battles as well, which I thought was really cool. Because it also means that one of those things where, you sit down to play a role-playing game and you get to a big battle, maybe it's hard to sort of play out. You've suddenly now got all the Kings of War rules to play out those big things as well on the tabletop, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, looking forward to see what they're doing with it. Red Scar have done some really good stuff in the past, so hopefully it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Sort of mechanically.
What do we know of Red Scar? What have they done in the past?
I'm trying to remember the name of their role-playing game now, and it's
Devil's Run.
Yes, that's it, Devil's Run. So they've done a cool Devil's Run one, which was the sort of like post-apocalyptic game. So yeah, they've gone through that, and they developed a really cool system for that one, which I thought was really cool, based on 3D6. So really nice to see how it comes together for their fantasy game as well.
When do we find out what they're calling the world?
I don't know.
I'm hoping Sunday.
I gotta admit, I really disliked it being called Mantica.
It's really weird. I was listening to an interview with Ronnie just before Christmas when he announced that it wasn't going to be Mantica any longer. Yes. And he essentially said it was a throwaway name. They needed a name for the world, and it was like, well, who cares what it's called? People are going to be playing the game. We'll call it Mantica. It was just that. Never really thought that, because at that stage it was supplementary to Warhammer. It was another way that people could use Warhammer armies before Kings kicked off. The idea that the Warhammer world was going to be exploded, and all of a sudden they'd have a big influx of people coming into Kings of War, and a lot of people going, well, where is the fluff? Where's the backstory? And there wasn't any, because it had been secondary. The game, and the fact that the game worked and worked beautifully, was more important than having the fluff behind it. And now they're playing catch up almost. So you've got Dungeon Sagas added a bit. Last year there was a set of short stories, and off the back of those short stories, I think 3 people have been commissioned to expand their short stories into big novels and in trilogy. Vanguard has arrived, which is like Black Ops for Kings of War. It's added a bit more fluff, and then you've also got some bits and pieces in like the Clash of Kings annuals. But this, I think, in the same way that Warhammer was built off the back of their war role-play system, there's so much more you can do in a book and expand upon and have the background, have the cities, have the world, which you don't see even if you're playing the actual war game. And this is an ideal way to do that. This is a way to flesh out those backstories and actually have the Basileans be those terrible paladins who theoretically are good, but they're good in the same way that if your arm is infected, cut off your arm. And Basileia do that with whole regions, but we haven't seen that yet because they're just a holy paladin army on the battlefield. Whereas now you'll be able to go, well, look what they did to Sing Sing. Where's Sing Sing? Exactly. Gone now, salted. Nothing grows there, but it's not infected with the abyss anymore. You can say that for them. And having this, I'm really looking forward to. I might be a bit of a Kings of War fan. I don't know if that's apparent. Dwarves, Ben. Dwarves are legends. But this map, this was actually done by a guy on
If you click
Tinterweb.
that and get bigger.
Yeah, I'm going to remove Ben as well for a second.
Not much bigger.
No, not much. But
It's still very tiny.
the very center of it, where you've got the coloured section, that is the Mantica map as it currently stands.
Yes.
That's what you've seen. So whenever they've gone, here is the world, every army is inside that map.
Yeah.
And he's photoshopped this over the top of a bunch of elves in a library. It's actually a beautiful piece of full artwork.
They've just realized they're all like. Are they realizing like there's a bigger world for them?
No. They know, but this is them planning. And this was a little. It wasn't even mentioned. It was just a little teaser until somebody on one of the forums went, "That's a huge map of the world because there's the tiny map of the current world in the middle of that."
Yeah,
And they went, "Oh yeah, did you notice that? Yeah. There's a much bigger world. Elves knew, dwarves knew. Dwarves aren't coming out of their halls, but yeah. So fun times.
Yeah,